Welcome to Learn About Law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, and today we're going to talk about orders of protection for neglect, exploitation, or abuse of disabled adults. So this is a very specific category of orders of protection. Orders of protection generally are meant to protect the petitioner or another protected party from abuse by a family member or household member. Typically, you have to show that abuse has occurred in the past, and once you can show that and that the person who did the abuse is a family or household member, you can have an order of protection issued to prevent future abuse. A very specific category of orders of protection is protection for abuse, neglect, or exploitation of high-risk disabled adults. So when there's a high-risk disabled adult involved, you don't have to show abuse, although that's one way to get an order of protection. You can also show neglect or exploitation of the disabled adult. So we're going to talk about what constitutes a high-risk disabled adult, what constitutes neglect, what constitutes exploitation. We've already done a past video about what constitutes abuse, so you can check that out if you want to learn what qualifies as abuse. And it's very broad. It's not just physical abuse, but it includes threats and manipulation and harassment. There's also a great foundational episode we've done called Illinois Orders of Protection Explained that will teach you everything you need to know about the basics of orders of protection generally. And then in the coming days, we're going to do how to file an order of protection. So stay tuned for that. But now we'll kind of dive into the specifics of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of a disabled adult. So a petitioner, someone filing a petition for an order of protection can file on behalf of a high-risk adult with disabilities who has been abused, neglected, or exploited by a family member or member of their household. Let's pick that apart. There are three things that really need to be true here in order to successfully get an order of protection. There must have been abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a high-risk adult with disabilities by a family member or household member of the high-risk adult. So those three things, the abuse, the disability, and the abuser had to have been a family member, must all be existent in order to get an order of protection. It's important to note that personal caregivers and assistants are considered family and household members for the purposes of order of protection. I guess household members, really, not family members. Let's talk first about the definition of a high-risk adult with disabilities for the purposes of orders of protection. A high-risk adult with disabilities is someone who's at least 18 years old, whose physical or mental disability impairs his or her ability to seek or obtain protection from abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So it's basically anyone who's an adult who, because of a disability, can't defend themselves from abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So if that person is being abused, neglected, or exploited, then another loved one or family member, or really anyone, can file a petition on their behalf to protect them from future abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So we said abuse, neglect, or exploitation has to have occurred in order to get an order of protection. Let's talk about what constitutes neglect. Neglect is a failure to exercise reasonable care that another reasonable person would exercise under the circumstances. It includes, but isn't limited to, failure to take reasonable steps to protect the high-risk adult from acts of abuse, repeated unreasonable confinement, failure to provide required food, shelter, clothing, or personal hygiene, failure to provide required medical, rehabilitative care for both physical or mental needs, and failure to protect the high-risk adult from health or safety hazards. So basically, this doesn't create a new affirmative duty. So if someone has undertaken the duty to care for the disabled adult, like a family member that they live with or a personal assistant or caregiver, then they have to do everything that a reasonable person would do in the circumstances to care for and protect the reasonable adult. If they haven't done what's reasonable under the circumstances to protect the adult from harm or provide food, shelter, medical treatment that they need, then neglect has occurred and an order of protection may be available. Let's talk about what constitutes exploitation of a high-risk adult with disabilities. Exploitation is basically illegal or tortious or wrongful conduct that is for the purpose of manipulating or taking advantage of the high-risk adult. So the typical example is using fraud, undue influence, breach of fiduciary duty, deception, or extortion to get the high-risk adult to transfer their assets to you, or basically take advantage of the high-risk adult's financial situation for your own benefit, doing something illegal. The key here is that the act itself, whatever you're doing to exploit the high-risk adult, has to in itself be illegal, wrongful, or something that would lead to a civil lawsuit like fraud or duress or something like that. So if someone that is a family or household member is taking advantage of the high-risk adult for their own benefit in a wrongful way, that's exploitation that would lead to an order of protection. So let's talk about what remedies are available if you file an order of protection. There's a wide range of remedies, and we've got a video that we're going to be doing shortly about the different remedies that are available, but they can include, in this particular case, prohibition of future abuse or neglect. They can include monetary damages or requirements that the respondent stay away from the protected party. But there's a wide range of damages that are available beyond those. So check out our remedies episode on orders of protection to find that out. So let's sum things up here a little bit. Orders of protection are basically intended to protect a disabled adult from future abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So if you know somebody who has a caregiver or family member who's supposed to be caring for them and isn't doing it properly, or is taking advantage of them, or is straight up abusing them, then you can file for an order of protection and show that this family member or household member is doing these negative things, and get a variety of remedies like requiring them to stay away, prohibiting future abuse, having them replace monetary damages for any injuries that were resolved. And again, check out our future video for instructions on how to file that order of protection. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much for watching our video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Click the subscribe button for new videos every week, and download and review us on iTunes. Visit learn-about-law.com for other legal-related articles and videos. Visit our business podcast and video blog, seizeyourbusiness.com, and visit Making Real Estate Fun for real estate videos and podcasts. Call us at 630-324-6666 for a free consultation.